What's up? We are live. I'm X. We are live. Yes, we are live. That's Leroy and Michael. I look at everybody coming in here around 9:30. It's interesting. When we start on time, people are here on time too. We should try that more often, Leroy.
Put it on the list of things we should do in 2025.
Yeah. New year, new us. Nah, new year, same us. It's fine. This is the We Try channel at Nerdy by Nature Productions with another live topic we got tonight. What's going on with you, sir?
Not much. Just finished watching the first episode of Schmigadoon with Katie.
Do you have an opinion of it yet, or is one episode not enough?
Oh, it's not for me. It's
Okay.
definitely for her. She said she
Okay.
liked it and she didn't like it at the same time. She's like, I like it, but it's too close to us. And I was like, yeah, I'd have shot myself.
It's too close to us. Yeah, Wendy and I watched the first season and the second season. We liked them both, but I
Yeah,
was
I'd have shot myself. They just started singing that crab pudding or no corn pudding part.
uh huh.
Mm. Yeah,
I could see that not being you for sure. Yeah.
I'd have definitely ended it right then and there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, man, some behind the scenes stuff. Leroy and I saw each other in person today. It was nice seeing you in the flesh, man.
Yeah, it was weird seeing all those people.
Seeing all those people, fair enough.
I have to admit, I'm not used to. So, to give people a behind the scenes, we went to a birthday party. One of our former coworkers turned 50, and she had a extravagant celebration, as Darcy does.
As
Um,
Darcy does.
and I wasn't gonna go. My wife had told me to go, and I was like, I don't, I'm not a real big crowd person. Um, and I knew this was going to be. When I looked at the invitation, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a lot of people. And so I put on clothes, got dressed up, and I went. And hold on, catch. So
It didn't sound like she caught it.
partially my fault. I didn't throw it all the way over there.
Okay.
Like her hand was here and it fell here. So
Okay.
um, so yeah, it was a good time. I stayed longer than I should have. But it was people I hadn't seen in years. Like I hadn't seen Barry in years. I hadn't seen Miss Vivian was there.
That was
Um,
great seeing Miss Vivian. Yeah.
yeah, our old chief meteorologist Jim Gandy. Was good seeing him, even though I see him online posting about the weather because I don't trust anybody else to tell me what the weather is. I trust a
Sure.
man who's retired for 5 years. Um, uh, so yeah, it was really good to go. So I thank my wife for talking me into it because I wasn't going to go.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Cool, man. Very good
yep.
to hear. Yeah, this topic will be interesting. We were talking about Lee as Leroy and I saw each other in person. We were trying to figure out what we should talk about, and I asked him about the Xbox Developer Conference and what was your initial reaction? Well,
Um,
specifically, I asked you about Ninja Gaiden 4, and what was
well,
your
you
like?
texted me about Ninja Gaiden 4, and you seemed you can't tell tone from a text, but you did seem excited for it, and I didn't want to
You
burst your
read that correctly?
yeah, and I didn't want to burst your bubble, but that Ninja Gaiden is not a like I remember it back in the day, but it's not a game for me.
Sure, sure.
So
So with
yeah,
that, we were going to talk about the Xbox Developer Direct 2025, and
hmm
also the Switch 2 trailer because we kind of hinted at it in the last stream,
uh-huh,
but didn't really talk about it. So
yeah.
where you want to start first, sir?
Uh, we can start with let's start with Nintendo.
Okay.
The
You want to
Switch.
say why you hate Ninja Gaiden and all its fans later? We can do that.
I mean, we can. I don't hate it. Um,
I'm just trolling you. It's fine. Nintendo, yeah, man. Switch 2 trailer came out last week. It's about 2 minutes 21 seconds. And what do you think? I got thoughts, but I
um,
don't know if you want to go first.
no, go ahead.
Um, so for me, and let's see if we can have some video streaming while we talk about this. If this works, we'll find out. Um, Yay, there we go. That'll work. For me, it is just a bigger and better Switch, and I am completely fine with that. I think Nintendo has gotten out of the arms race of trying to be the most powerful console. I think they realize we can save money by not trying to be the most powerful console as long as we have creative games that people want to keep playing and buying, and keeping our bottom line. I'm happy with that. I don't know what the specs of the Switch 2 are, but just seeing this little trailer got me excited for it.
Okay. Technical issues. My battery's about to die, so we had to replug that real quick. Um, I tried to show Katie tonight because I'd watched it earlier,
Hmm.
so I felt like it's bigger. So this is the Steam Deck. I
Hmm.
like my Steam Deck. I still use it. I do wish the integration was better as far as like some of the games because there are games that I don't play or I've already played on my console. I don't feel like I need to replay them again on my Steam Deck, and there are games that I want to take on the go or play that don't really that does not do well on the Steam Deck. For me personally, I would love to play Division 2 on the Steam Deck. I know
Hmm.
Diablo plays really well on there. Um, there's a there's certain games that play like a lot of popular games that people want to play and that I'm happy for. Like for me, Elden Ring. I don't care about Elden Ring. That's not a game for me. Um, so I say that to say I like this new size of the Switch. I like a lot of the improvements.
Hmm.
I need to see price
Sure.
and I need somebody to have hands on before I'd said yes.
Hmm.
Because I do like there needs to be an incremental jump from the Switch to the Switch 2. I believe it needs to have Bluetooth capability and it needs to be able to have um, the opportunity to play. For me, I think you need it to have to be able to do apps outside of the Nintendo store, like
Hmm.
streaming capabilities. I think that's a must for Nintendo. Now I know that they probably won't because they're like, we don't need. If you want that, you can get that from someplace else. But I do believe that it needs some of the. I do love the idea of multiple USB-C ports, one at the top and one at the bottom on
Hmm.
the Switch. I think that's a very good thing. Um, I like the fact that it's backwards compatible, with the exception of there's a couple of things where like the amiibos sit in the Joy Cons, or what was that game? The ones where, because if you watched it at the end, there was an asterisk that said there's some games that will not be backwards compatible because the hardware is different for the Joy Cons.
Yeah, the issue is like we don't know exactly what games. If I had to guess, it would probably be maybe the Nintendo Labo games. That was the thing where you had to build different
Yeah,
scientific sets out of cardboard and then put stuff in it. That might not work. And there's also the Ring Fit Adventure. It's the fitness game they made where you actually have to put the old Joy Cons in essentially a circle. But since that was designed for those Joy Cons, it probably won't work with this. So I
yeah.
imagine games like that probably won't. But mostly everything else would work. We're getting a couple questions. Can you use the Joy Cons as mice? So that is the rumor that the Joy Cons will work as mice now. And if you see the trailer, you see them sliding along like a smooth pane, like a desktop or something. So
Yeah.
that does appear. It's not confirmed, but it does seem like, oh, we are going to have mice for this.
Hmm.
Um, Ken from Chicago said Mario Kart on Switch 2. What a surprise. Ken, I feel like you say that as like that's a diss, man, but Mario Kart, I feel like it probably sold at least 60 million copies between Wii U and the Switch.
Hmm.
So it's people have been wanting a Mario Kart 9 for ever since it came out on the Wii U. So if they're smart, that could be a launch game because I would be wanting to get a new Mario Kart game. So I'm excited for Mario Kart. To go with you, I do want to know price. I do want to know more about specifics on what it is. The rumor is that it might be on par with a PS4 Pro, anywhere between like a PS4 Pro and an Xbox One. Which again, they're not trying to be the most powerful, but you can get some good stuff out of that. I think
Mhm.
Nintendo proves even without the most impressive hardware, their game design really carries their game and art design really carries them a lot.
Oh
Hence,
yeah.
like why Mario Kart 8 is still beloved, even though it came out for the Wii U. Or Breath of the Wild looks great. So if you can give me those kind of graphics and that art design, but with better RAM and everything to give me better frame rates, I'm for it.
Yeah, like personally, I feel like if it's in the $400 range, that's not a mid break price point for me. Now, if you're
Hmm.
talking $500-600, I'm out. You know, if
Yeah,
you're at if you're at 450 with a bundle, I'm not too upset. You know, like it's not a bad price, especially like around the holidays, because I have a feeling it's going to come out before the holidays and then have a bundle. You know, around then.
hmm
Nintendo's very good about having bundles. Um, I'm like I said, I think this is interesting. I was not sold on the original Switch, but as
hmm
time went on, it really did win me over to the point where it made me get a Steam Deck. Um,
right.
but I wouldn't I wouldn't scoff at a Switch 2, and I'd be very interested in it. Matter of fact, not saying I'm buying one, but I did sign up for Best Buys. Will let you know when it's the pre-order comes up.
Right.
So but again, and I say this, remember what I told you about the PS Portal, and we really crapping on that about who was that for, and we were really kind of like, I was one of those people. And then when they released that last update, I was like, I consider it. I'd really consider it because I actually did look for it. So around the holidays, Staples had a your mileage may vary um, for a PS Portable. They were selling it for $150 if you buy it in.
Staples suck. I don't mean to cut you off, but Staples is so
No,
weird in
no.
what they sell.
Yes.
Like sometimes you're just like Staples sells video games and for
Yep.
cheap. Oh,
Hmm.
sure, all right. I bought
Yep.
a joystick a fight stick from there before that worked well. I was just
It's
surprised they had it.
I'm with you. It's very weird. So I'm on a site right now, and I will tell you guys about it. I and I will actually put it in the chat. I probably shouldn't do this, but I mean, I love y'all, so I'm going to. Uh, so I always check this site for things for sales and deals, the things I need around the house.
Oh
Some
yeah,
things I
Slick Deals is good. Yeah,
yeah I probably don't need, but I always check it for like for stuff, just things. And I it literally they posted a PlayStation Portal. If you go to Staples, you have to find one, and they sell it because I didn't know they sold video games,
hmm
or like consoles, and I knew they sold laptops and peripherals, but if you went, they had PS Portals there, and they were discounted to be below 150. So I was like, because I texted you, I was like, I dropped Evan off one day, and I was like, I'm going to Staples, and I went to the two Staples we have in town. There's a third one I did not go to, and I went and I checked, and they did not have it. One lady was like, "Wait, what?" And so I would buy a PS Portal for
hmm
if it was $100, and you play the games you already own. Like I do get it because when the boys have the TV tied up, you know, I can't necessarily play The Last of Us 2 or Dead Space,
yeah,
and that's honestly not a game that they should be watching. So I do understand the getting the handhelds are something that I think is worth it, and I think Nintendo was in the right frame of mind of making these handhelds because I think Nintendo is what pushed everybody else into getting into the handheld business.
sure. A question Ken asked before was, has Nintendo ever released a console in the $500 range? I don't believe so. I feel like the most expensive might have been 299. I think the Switch OLED might be 349 right now.
But
Um,
again, all of those components were cheap.
right.
Uh,
Um, what was I
so
going to say? Oh, so I had a question for you on the Switch. The 2 minute trailer reveal. Do you think that was enough, or do you wish they had gone bigger for the first reveal of it?
I'm okay with it. I honestly
Me
do
too.
think I'd honestly think the only reason why they did that is because all the leaks.
Yeah.
I do believe that everything had been leaked, and I think it came to a point that they were like, we got to release something, and they did have a date for the Nintendo Direct. I think for March 22nd. Was that the date?
April 2nd.
April 2nd, four
Yeah.
twenty two.
Yeah.
Um, so I did see that. I The greedy version of me says yes, I would have liked to have seen more, but
Hmm.
I'm cool with what I did see. Um,
Also, Switch 2, the name you hype with that? You think it should be something else?
I mean, what else are they going to call it?
I don't know. A lot of people are trying to go back. That doesn't. They feel like that's not enough. I've seen a lot of chat online, and granted, it's online, so take it with a grain of salt. But people are like, "Oh, this is going to be like the Wii U situation," and I think it's different because Wii U doesn't necessarily scream successor to Wii. It almost feels like maybe this is an expansion, but just putting a two on there helps you let you know this is the next Switch. I think it's simple, it's smart. I think it's the best way to go to show people, hey, we had like one of the best selling consoles of all time. Now here's the sequel to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people where I look at it like this: if it's not called a Switch Two, what else would you call it?
Sure.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care. But only reason I'm asking is because if you're going to call it something else, then tell me what you would call it. I
Some
don't
people
have
like the idea of Super Switch.
cool. Like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight.
Right.
You guys tell me what you want to call it. I don't. I honestly don't care.
Okay.
It's because here's the thing. I don't know if I'll buy one. Like if I
Right.
did get one, honestly, I would buy it because I would like to play it, but I'd really buy it for my wife. I'd
Hmm.
really buy it for Katie because a friend of hers had this original Switch and she played it, and I did ask her if she liked it. She's like, "Yeah, it's okay," and it, I do think it lends itself to more games that we would find interesting as a family to play, which is why I think Sony was smart to pivot to a game like Astrobot because I
Hmm.
do believe that you get more people to buy a system when you have those type games that you can bring, which is why I think Nintendo is leaps and bounds ahead of every other developer and every other game console uh, company because they do make games that are family friendly. Like
Hmm.
a cousin of mine who's into computers, he's into video games, but he he plays computer games. He owns a Switch. My brother does not own the latest console. I don't think he owns a PS5. I know he plays computer games. He owns a Switch. I
Hmm.
think those. I think the Switch does that job, and so and like my wife does not need to see ultimate graphics and somebody getting their face chainsawed off. We bought a it's called a Next Playground, and it's basically a Wii without the stick, without the controller. And we bought one, and she loves this little what's the dance game you play with the controllers, the one with the Beat Saver.
Yeah, Beat Saber's one. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a version of Beat Saver on this thing.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm putting it in the chat right now so people can see what it is. um yeah, she that's her favorite game.
Hmm.
Like, so it's just somebody, and you just do this, you do that, you gotta. And I mean, for the holidays, I mean, my family, we played that. They played that religiously. like like they were into it. Like, I've watched people play Madden.
Sure.
So um yeah, I would get one depending on what's going on, how much it costs, if there's one available.
Okay.
Hell, I'm gonna be honest with you. Could get one, could flip that bitch. We did that shit with the Nintendo Classic. I bought one
Hmm.
for Kate. She turned right back around, sold that bitch on eBay.
Yeah.
So we could end up getting a Switch. It could cost $400. We could end up selling around Christmas time for 1,000. Just, you
Hmm.
never know. Just
Fair
depends
enough.
on how you feel.
All right, so that's the Switch talk. Let's get to this Xbox Developer Conference.
Mhm.
I thought it
Now, I
was.
only
I thought it
watched the
was.
hour one. Now,
That was.
there's a 4 hour one too. You know that, right?
Oh, I didn't watch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's a
I mean,
yeah. I didn't watch
I
the
feel
4 hour.
like the hour one gave me everything I needed to know.
Yep,
Um,
agreed.
yeah. All right. 4 games were announced. We got. Well, 4 games were talked about, not necessarily announced. Ninja Gaiden 4 was announced along with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black as a
Hmm.
shadow drop.
Yep,
You had Expedition 33
Expedition
and
33,
yeah, South of Midnight and Doom. Was it Dark Ages? Doom the Dark Ages?
Doom Dark Ages.
Doom Dark Ages.
Doom the Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages, like the Ohio State. Got it. Um,
That wasn't funny.
does that sting? I'm sorry.
I know, but I fuck them.
Okay.
Worst
Okay.
goddamn college championship ever. Fucking hated it. Wish Bane showed up and the whole stadium fell into the cavernous pits of hell. Two,
Fan-
I hate those two teams.
fantastic. Where?
So yeah, I honestly thought it was a very good direct. I really enjoyed it. I watched it with the boys. I skimmed it. Dark Ages was a little much.
Hmm.
Well, Ninja Gaiden was a little much as far as the boys. Dark
Yeah, I would imagine it was.
Dark Ages was violent, but it wasn't as bloody because they were all demons. I liked it. I
Hmm.
did like the Nintendo Direct.
Xbox Direct.
Yeah, Xbox Direct.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, the question I had for you was we talked about Ninja Gaiden. You said you weren't your thing, and you said something to the fact of you didn't like. You thought it looked last gen. Go
Yes.
more into that because I think that's
So
interesting to me. I think it looks like current stuff.
so it looked like it was a game that if it came out on the last generation, that's exactly what I would have. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But I've been
Hmm.
playing now. Again, this is the best of the best. So the last couple of months, I've been going back and I've been replaying. So I went back and played The Last of Us one and two,
Hmm.
part one and part two. I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now. Before that, I was playing Alan Wake 2, and before that, I played Dead Space and shit, something else graphically intense. And as I was watching Ninja Gaiden, because I watched the trailer first and then I watched the direct. I
Hmm.
watched the Ninja Gaiden trailer and I was like, it looks okay. But when I looked at the backgrounds and how empty Tokyo looked in the settings, I was very unimpressed with the way it looked. I was impressed with the way it played. And I know Tokyo is supposed to be empty, it's supposed to be, but I just felt like the backgrounds, as far as like how this game looked,
Hmm.
I was not impressed with. So, like, look right here. If you look at Doom, if you look at the way it's, it, the other games feel like they immersed you into those worlds,
Hmm.
and Ninja Gaiden to me did not feel that way.
Do you think that is? Do you think that could be by design and maybe it didn't trailer well? Like they
It
want to
could,
show it's a sparse Tokyo.
it could be, but I guess when I looked at, and again, I looked at Elden Ring. I looked
Hmm.
at I looked at a lot of these games. The world itself seemed to be more engrossing than Ninja Gaiden did,
Hmm.
and it could be because I'm not a fan. But South of Midnight, that world looks so intriguing to me.
It does. It
Like
does.
the whole fighting a giant crocodile that has part of its snout broken off, the whatever the spider thing that came down. Um, I just thought South of Midnight's world looked so much more engrossing, so much more colorful, and I felt like Tokyo looked drab. I felt like
Hmm.
it not washed out, but it just looked barren. It did, and it's one of those things where like as I watched The Last of Us Part One, Last of Us Part One looked like a city. It had looked like a world that had been abandoned.
Hmm.
And when I looked at Tokyo, the way that they talked about Tokyo, that you know what is it? The dragon? What is the clan? Because you're the Raven clan.
Well, the new ninja's part of the Raven clan.
Raven
Ryu's
clan.
part of the Dragon clan.
Dragon clan. So when you looked at it and you're like, okay, this did not look like a world that had been abandoned. You took over
Hmm.
Tokyo, like it just looked like a bunch of different backgrounds. It didn't have this feel that you're fighting in a city that used to have people in it. It just looked like generic backgrounds generated just for this game. So,
Hmm.
and
I gotta
again,
find a longer trailer.
I'm
Might
not
help
saying that
us
I don't
with
want
that.
to play it. It just
I got you.
like
Fair enough.
those backgrounds look like something I would see in a like an older game where they weren't
Hmm.
really worried about the background. And I'm not saying it looks bad. It just doesn't look like
Like the details are missing.
yes.
Okay.
Like for this to be a Ninja Gaiden game, Devil May Cry looked more lived in, even though that world is so fantastic. Like you never see people, that kind of thing. But this did not look like this looked like a video game.
Hmm.
And I did feel better about it when I saw all the different art designs behind it, but I still did not. When I looked at this world, this looked like a game that I was like, this reminded me of an old game.
Ken from Chicago said it. Backgrounds aren't compelling.
So
I could understand that. Um, I I wonder if in the end it was an intentional choice to be like, we're not worried about that. We're worried about you just fighting these enemies one on one to give you. And I'm not a game developer, but if the game isn't rendering all this extra background stuff, you can just focus on 60 frames per second, 1080p, or I guess 4K high definition graphics. It's just a one on one fighting because they want the responsiveness of the action to be there. I don't know.
and
Um,
and I'm not saying that you have to do that. I'm just saying that like for me, and I've been one of the people who champion every like I don't need to see the dew on the leaves, you know.
mhm.
So, like the game development doesn't take $300 million and it takes 10 years to come out. So if that's what some games have to be, I understand. But I looked at the it just looked drab.
Mhm.
But to me, this was the and even though I liked Ninja Gaiden, I like what I saw. To me, this was the weakest game out of all of them.
Okay, interesting. And that one's the farthest one to come out. The other ones are coming out within 3 or 4 months. Two of them in
Mm,
April, one in May.
yeah.
All right, so we know where you stand on Ninja Gaiden. We know where you stand on Doom. You're excited about it. Of the four, is Doom the one you're most excited about? Or
No, South of Midnight I thought was the most compelling. Only
I
because it's something brand new.
it looks different. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks different for sure. I think that's cool.
It's something I've never seen before. A protagonist you don't get to see a young black girl.
Hmm.
It's a setting you don't see a lot, like the South. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
um, it's Compulsion Games. I haven't heard a lot from them. Uh,
So they
I
did
don't
the
know the history.
game. I don't know if you played it, called We Happy Few.
I've heard of it, but I didn't play it.
It was okay.
Hmm.
It might have been like their second game. So I'm with you. This one probably had me the most excited because it was something new and different. Um, I'm hoping it's better than you remember the game. It was either launch or near launch for PlayStation 5 that featured a black female protagonist that seemed cool. The
For
trailer,
sake, yeah,
yeah, and then came up with like, oh, this game was not
Square
good.
Enix, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that isn't the case, but we won't know until people get their hands on with it.
Yeah.
But I will say this, like this gothic southern setting definitely seems, I like it more than the medieval or fantasy type setting of Forspoken. So yeah.
So like, look if you so this is Forsaken. I'm not Forsaken. This is South of Midnight right here. When
Uh-huh.
you look at those backgrounds and you look at these enemies, that looks like a world I'm interested in.
Hmm.
That looks like a world that like the it looks like this world is poisoned. It looks like this world has trauma going on. Um, the creature design, like I don't care if the game is short because like I don't need games to be. That's another reason like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I stopped playing it halfway through. Like I had to come back to it because I was like that world is so big.
Hmm.
Like I don't know how much bigger than it is the first one, but good lord.
Yeah, it
Um,
does keep going.
and I'm like, good, like, so I, but this game really caught my attention as far as like the art design a little looked a little like, and I did love the fact that they talked about they got their art design and their movements from stop motion.
Hmm.
Um, I really like it. It reminded me of stop motion, like they said, and a little bit of the art design from Arcane. So
Hmm.
when I was watching them, it reminded me of Mel from Arcane.
Hmm.
Some of the cutscenes.
Yeah, I'm I'm cautiously optimistic, which I think is a phrase I use a lot, but I am because we don't know until we get our hands on it. But I do
Mhm.
like the fact that they were trying something new. The thing I'm kind of worried about is that We Happy Few kind of like the premise of We Happy Few was fun, and then after 4 or 5 hours, you kind of got it. But the game, like it could have ended there, but it probably went another 20 hours for main
Ooh,
story stuff. And it's like, oh, y'all kind of just padded this out. And I hope this isn't that. Like the 4 or 5 hours is like really
mhm.
tight, and then they decide to pad it out when they don't need to. So I don't know.
I like this one. The one that I thought was so I wasn't high on Doom Dark Ages until I watched this. Only because I was like, I didn't like the last Doom, and I think they did a good job of explaining each Doom is different.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you saw in Doom, they talked about it was going to be the first one when they reintroduced Doom. It was more run and gun. This
Hmm.
one was jump and gun, and I'm like, I'm not a big platformer when it comes to like those kind of games. Like I don't need it. Like I don't want to time my jump exactly. Like I'm that's just not me.
Sure.
Um, I thought the game mechanics of Doom really excited me once I saw this. Um, I thought a gun that uses skulls as ammunition
Yeah.
and a chain shield.
Hmm.
I was like, this is
This is some
Leroy.
foolishness that you need.
Oh yeah, this is you're angry. You the soundtrack. You get to punch a demon in the face
Uh-huh.
while you Captain America chainsaw Marcus Phoenix shield him in the face,
Hmm.
and then they made like a mech Doomslayer fighting kaiju with twin
And you get to ride a dragon, apparently, a
a
mountain.
flame breathe. Like I was literally trying to call my 4-year-old in the room to be like, dude, you
Look
have
at
no
this.
idea how good you have it. Like
We
this
didn't have
game,
flame bleeding dragons in my day
nope.
at your age. Yeah,
Uh,
I like the idea of this because, like you said, they said 2016 was rip and tear, run and gun.
mhm.
The 2018 or 2020, 2019, whatever, was like
Doom,
jumping,
yeah,
jumping stuff. And this one they
yeah,
said is more like stand your ground and fight. And you can
mhm.
kind of
And
see that a lot of times there is a little bit of strafing, but it's really using that shield to kind of get around the field and figuring
it's mhm.
because a lot of these, at least for Doom, it is a first person shooter, but sometimes you can kind of play it like a puzzle in terms of what enemy do you take out first to grab
Mhm.
ammo and do everything else. And it's figuring out whatever that puzzle is in every arena that you're in, which I think is pretty interesting. Um, I'm excited for this, and I you talked about it before, but I like what Xbox is doing with these developer directs. I like this one. I like the one last year, and I kind of had to take some photos so I could remember what the one last year was around the same time. It was the games that were announced in Xbox Direct 2024 were. Let's see if this phone will load. That was for this year.
Yeah, right here. You're playing a fire breathing flame dragon that come on, like that's amazing. Like for me, this was not my first pick. Like out of this developer direct, I really
Hmm.
was high on South of Midnight. And
Hmm.
then after I watched all of this, Doom kind of went number one, South of Midnight two, and then it goes Expedition 33, and then it's Ninja Gaiden.
Hmm.
So,
Last year it was Aura, History Untold,
mhm,
Avowed, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and then they did like a secret reveal of Visions of Mana. Uh, so of those games, four of them have come out. Avowed still hasn't come out. It comes out this year. That's the only one that got pushed back. Um, but all those games, if you go to Metacritic, they all review between good to great. Um, I think our History Untold was the lowest one at around like sixes and sevens, which is average or good for most people.
Hmm.
But I wonder if this is me with a crackpot tin hat theory. If Xbox is like, let's figure out what 4 or 5 games we can show every year that we know are going to review well and make that a developer conference. We're like, okay, people can get hype around this. We
But
know these games are going to review well. We know they're probably going to come out in the year we show them. So I don't know.
but I mean, but that's smart. That like
Yeah.
that's good business. That's a good business decision because if you know the game is going to review well, that means you're going to have people who are. It's not going to be another Redfall situation, or
Hmm.
for Sony Concord. It's not. They're not live service games. Their games are going to drop day one on Xbox Game Pass, which means they're going to have word of mouth. You're not going to hide review copies from people, so
Hmm.
that means they're going to be reviewed fairly well, which then feeds into social media. You're going to have articles written about it. People are going to pick these games up. Then word of mouth, whether they be on Steam, whether they be on Xbox, it keeps the cycle going. And I
Hmm.
think that's smart. And it's not overloading people with like, here's 30 games and 15 of them are trailers or cutscenes. And it's like, how's the gameplay? You have 4 games. And I'm going to be honest with you. To me, this got me excited because I got to see the thinking behind the game and why. So, again, if I had known Doom Eternal was the way it was, I wouldn't have bought Doom Eternal. But luckily, I bought it used from scratch and spin, so I wasn't out any real money. Like I was able to trade it back in and get something. But I loved that first Doom, and watching this made me say, "Oh, I did not understand that when I went and got it. I just saw Doom and got it. I didn't invest as much as I should have by watching these developer directs." So this one makes me say, "Okay, this is more up my alley," and I got
Hmm.
to see the idea behind the game. Um, So for me, I that's my list. What was your list and what did you think about Expedition 33?
Uh, the number one on my list probably was South of Midnight just because it was something different, looked cool. Hadn't really seen anything like it before. Number two might be Expedition 33 for me, um, because they think they called it it looks like to be a turn-based tactical JRPG, which I love that. Give me more of that. Feed that in my veins.
Mhm.
Some people are calling it like French Persona, which I'm okay with. I really
Hell,
enjoyed
they called
Persona
it
5
French
Royal.
Persona.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's where I heard it from them.
Like because they were like we based turn-based system on Persona. If you looked at the way the the menus popped out, I was like, "Oh, that is Persona."
Yeah. I'm excited for that. I like the style that they're doing. I like that there's going to be an overworld map that you get to crawl around in. Let me find it in here. We can have some video of it while it's playing. Is it this
Mhm.
is one? Yeah, it's like right about there. So okay. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting. The voice acting cast in it is great. I think Ben Starr is in there. Maybe I heard Matt Mercer. I don't know, but definitely Ben Starr is in it. Um, who most recently, or not most recently, but yeah, most recently was the voice of Clive in Final Fantasy 16 for people. That was awesome. But I like the premise of this woman who's the artist or the artist.
Mhm.
Apparently, she paints a number in the sky, and anybody above that age just dies. That's wild. So the story premise is interesting. I'm wondering why is this artist doing this in this expedition to finally kill this bad person? Is there a twist going to be like, oh, I have to do this to save the world? I don't know, but it sounds cool.
Yeah,
Great art style.
I was definitely interested in this game and then I saw it was turn-based and I'm like, I I know that I need to get out of this. I used to play a lot more, have a lot more variety, but as I've gotten older, I've stuck with a lot of games that where
Shoot
I
people in the face.
I control the action. I'm not I'm not a real big RTS or turn-based person.
Hmm.
So that did kind of turn me off. But again, that's why I think Game Pass is so great because it gets somebody like me to play a game that I probably wouldn't play if it's there.
Hmm.
And I would check this out if I had an Xbox and I had Game Pass. I really would because I thought the world was so compelling.
Okay. Banks, thanks. I'm glad you joined us here. You kind of got me excited. Fist is free to play. Fist, is that single player? Is that multiplayer? Give me some more information about Fist. If it's on PlayStation Plus, I may try that out. Just
It's
curious
on
about that.
PlayStation Plus, but it's in my wish list for my Steam Deck. Um,
Ah, okay.
and so I saw it and I was like, oh, this is definitely something I'd be interested in.
Fist, Fortune, Shadow Torch. Okay, cool. All right, I might have to try that out.
Yeah.
Um,
So this game, some of the characters, the designs remind me of Banished. I don't know if you remember that game, the Banishers that came out last year. That's a game.
was that the couple where one lady
Yes.
was a ghost and the guy
Hmm.
was? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to pick that game up. But this game reminded me of that. So that's where I was like, okay, I'm gonna check that out. But I this is four out of the list of games that we saw. But
Hmm.
I again, no, this was three.
No, this is three for you. Yeah.
This is three. But this is gameplay wise, like the world was so compelling that I could overlook the turn based quick time events
Hmm.
that this game brought because I want to know what's going on in this world. I want to know how this like I want to be immersed in this environment.
Got it. Banks typically a lot of times in like a turn-based RPG, it's not real time, right? So it's not like both actions are happening at the same. Like essentially, you'll have a bar that fills up to let you know when you attack next, and you pick your options, and then the enemy will do
Yeah.
the same thing. Um, but there can be lots of different variations on that. Sometimes there can be like active mini game events in it. Like Leo was talking about the quick time events, like if you hit a button in a certain amount of time, that may
Hmm.
increase the offense that you do or give you more defense against an attack. So it just depends. I feel like that's going to have a lot of this in there. Um, and yeah, it just I don't know. I'm excited because it looks a little different. And I think all these games look different. I think I think Ninja to me I think Ninja Gaiden looks good, but of the ones that we saw, it probably does look the most generic compared to everything else that we saw for sure.
Hmm.
I think everything else kind of stood out more with the art direction, but I think they're doing a choice to keep it more simplistic in Ninja Gaiden to give you super tight controls and responses in your inputs and stuff. So yeah.
So like right now, Expedition 33 is up. Like, so this character they talked about, the balloon man with the patches and stuff.
Hmm.
That character design reminded me of something from Near Automata.
Hmm.
So like that character right there reminded me of like one of the robots that you play and like the different robots and the AI. It
Hmm.
reminded me of that type of look. And I was very intrigued by the art direction that made me say, okay, show me more. And I'm also somebody who believes in if you can sell me a good if the story of how this game was made and your passion is in this game, that feeds into me wanting to play your game. Because
Hmm.
if you made something that you're excited for me to see, I'm excited to play it. And I will say that that has bitten me before. Um, uh, it has because I spent.
I'm thinking about what you talking about the what's the game that you bought that was like full
Yep.
price?
Hmm.
Okay, that's what I thought you were talking
Yep.
about.
Um, so I oh Banks. So hold on, which one? Near Automata or Near? Because they're two different games, and then there's Near. What's the another Near game? I got that for Christmas. It's somewhere in there. You got to play them multiple times.
Is that the one with B2
B2 is Near Automata.
near Automata? Okay.
Yeah. Um, and I didn't want to play Stellar Blade, but I do kind of want to play Stellar Blade because they had some kind of they introduced a lot of the near elements into it. I'm like, oh, you got me again.
Hmm.
Um, no, I really I'm trying to remember what that game was. It was the Dead Space. I want to say rip off, but I really watched like the developers. Um, I really was sold on. Uh, hold on, I'm trying to look of what was the name of that game.
Yeah, I can't think what that game is called now.
Callisto Protocol.
Callisto Protocol. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. Okay.
yeah, it was. But again, when I watched this developers direct, um, I was really sold on how excited, and I understand that's the point of it, but I was really sold on like the idea that they made this game. They were so excited for us to see it, play it. They talked about the world, and that was infectious. And I think that's something that I like seeing from developers, where they're just like, "Hey, man, we're really excited that we made that. We're happy you enjoyed it too." Um,
Hmm.
Ninja Gaiden for me is four, but that's two things. One, it's not my kind of game.
Hmm.
It's a button masher. It is Dark Souls before Dark Souls ever came out, because Ninja Gaiden games have notoriously hard. Um, it's not the mind-numbing hard that some of these Dark Soul games are, but Ninja Gaiden was that first game that punished you if you did not do things correctly.
Hmm.
So that's not a game for me. I love the future aspect of it. I've played a couple of them. I beat back in the day a couple of them. Did not beat No Sigma. Nope.
Hmm.
I play games to relax, to kind of not veg out, but like be immersed in this world. Let the cares flow off of you and be this white woman in this futuristic world where you kill robot dinosaurs.
Sure.
Where Elon Musk destroyed the world,
Yeah.
um, aka Ted Faro. So Digigate that game, watching that, I was like, I won't be immersed in that game. It's not a game for me, but I am excited that they made it.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. All right. We went about 50 minutes. We can keep it shorter here.
Yeah.
Nice little conversation.
Yeah. We're gonna do the Oscar talk, but we haven't watched any of this Oscar shit. So it's like how we go have opinions about Oscars. Uh,
Ooh, before we go, question chat. Chat, do you know is AME and not AME, AMC
AMC.
still doing its thing where they show a bunch of Oscar movies for over 2 weekends? For some reason, I haven't seen any information on that. I'm curious if they're doing that this year. Also, when we played the videos just now in this stream, did they appear smooth for you guys or were they choppy? I'm just curious how you guys are seeing them.
Good question. Good question.
Because on
Uh,
my end, it looked clear. I don't know how it looked for you guys.
I'm
Um,
going to make a poll. Which game did you like the most from the developer direct, and why
uh,
is it?
and
And
why is it South of Midnight?
yep.
Nice.
Tell me why
Um,
you're wrong.
yeah. Um, yeah, I don't even know what's nominated this year for Oscars.
Uh,
I
Wicked.
know Erica Perez got nominated.
Uh,
People,
yeah,
some happy, some upset
Wicked.
about it.
So here's a comment that I heard, and I need to talk about it with Katie because it's something I'm still evolving on my whole journey of communities that are not mine.
Hmm.
Somebody said that movie is made about a community, but not made from a community.
Interesting.
And I thought it was a very interesting comment because they were like, it had no GLAD awards, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's interesting. So for the best picture, they do 10 now. The Brutalist, Wicked, the one you just talked about, Nickel
Amelia Perez.
Boys. Uh, there's a bunch of them. I
Yeah.
have not seen. Hell, I didn't even know about the Brutalist until a couple of months ago. So it's like, and that's almost a 3 hour movie. I do want to see it, but it's like, when am I going to find time?
Hmm.
The movie, there is some interesting takes. Now I haven't seen it. I will eventually. Um, Wicked got a ton of nominations and nominated for Best Picture, and I'm with Cynthia Revo. I know she's gotten a lot of trouble with some of the things that she said, but I'm on her side when she says, "How can you enjoy a movie, love the way it looked, nominate for Best Picture, and then not turn and nominate the director for Best Director?" Same thing with Denny Villeneuve. Nope, gonna stop. Not about to
Denny
butcher.
V.
Denny V. Again, how are you going to nominate Dune for Best Picture and then not nominate him for Best Director? That does not. I don't understand that. So those are some of the snubs. Cynthia Riva was nominated for Best Actress. Uh, Ariana Grande was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Zoe Saldana was nominated. There was a lot. Coleman Domingo. There's a lot to be desired from this Oscars, but I do believe that this looks one of the most interesting Oscar in a long time. But I do understand where people are upset. It's going to be done on the backdrop of this horrific fire that's going on in California,
Hmm.
where don't know how I feel about that. Still trying to figure that out.
Sure.
Like, how do you have this huge party and celebration while a very big part of your state went up in smoke?
I got no comments.
I don't know if it was nominated, but I am going to recommend people watch this because I'm going to watch it. Look up a movie called September the 5th.
Is that the British
Have you
movie?
have you seen the trailer for it?
I gotta. Is that the one for
Ooh,
the Olympics?
yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen the trailer. That's interesting.
Yeah, so that is my movie that I'm definitely that's the next movie that I want to see. Like I know it's not probably not an Oscar movie, but that's the movie that has got me excited that I want to see that. Um so yeah, so that's it. What got you through the week, man?
Um, Guys, I finally did it. I beat some super stupid, obscure challenges in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that really don't advance the main story. They just give you little achievements to get 1,000 to get the ultimate trophy and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, it took me so many hours. I think I am at 165 hours in that game right now.
God damn.
Probably, yeah. That my last counter said 165 hours. I'm pretty sure 40 of those hours were doing the mini games for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Good lord.
Um, again, didn't need to, but I just wanted them. I did it, and I still haven't beaten the game. I will probably do that once we finish this stream, actually, because I'm maybe 2 or 3 hours left in the main campaign to do that before I go to hard mode. Um, so that got me through the week because I did it during
Hmm.
our mini Snowmageddon here in Columbia and
Oh
Charlotte.
yeah.
I got off work. I went to Wendy's brother's house in Rock Hill, stayed in his guest house or whatever, and spent like 4 or 5 hours just grinding to do that. So that was a great achievement that I shouted in that guest house to no one but myself, and it was great. That's
I'm
what got
happy.
me through the week. Yeah. What about you?
Uh so Snowmageddon came.
Hmm.
Went to work 2.5 days because
Hmm.
they closed um, government offices.
I was gonna say, yeah. Are you? It's like if snow happens, do they shut you guys down?
So
I guess.
so as if we don't have to do the governor's press conferences, yes,
Hmm.
and whoever's designated at um, to do the governor's press conference, that like there are certain people who have to go in. I did not. We did not do. He didn't have any press conferences. He just declared a state of emergency and was like, "Stay your ass home," except
Hmm.
for these people. And so they did shut down ETV 2.5 days, and I went to work Friday. But this week, um, me and Katie started a new show. Where I don't know what whatever show we start next is probably not going to be as heavy. We finished Presumed Innocent,
What's that
and
one?
Jake Gyllenhaal's accused. He's a district attorney who's accused of killing a woman. He's on
That's on
trial.
Apple.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah, that one. That's a that was a good show, but not one I recommend because it is violent. So you have to be okay with that. It is definitely like very violent. It's very like if you're not okay with seeing a woman getting beat to death,
Hmm.
steer clear because it is definitely violent, but it is very good. Ruth Nega's in it. Um, one of the Skarsgård uh, is in it. Jake Gyllenhaal was amazing. Um, I'm trying to think. There was a couple other people don't remember their names. You like if you see them, you're like, oh, I remember you. Um, Cast was very good. Chicago looked amazing the way they shot it. Um, the whole time I'm watching it, Chicago, and I'm like, that's Gotham City from The Dark Knight. It was very well done, but gotta be okay with some violence, man. They beat a bitch to death with a goddamn fireplace poker. It's just like, oh, whoa. I was like, we still doing this in 2024? I was like, hey man, they could have had some of this off camera, but no, they do not. Um, but it was really good. It's David E. Kelly wrote it based on a Scott Turow book. Very good. And then I finished Last of Us last weekend, and I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn again. Got to get back in my Aloy. Did all the vaults. Now I'm trying to open up the rest of the map because, good lord, that map is huge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Cool. We might be back next week live. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll try.
Well, I because I know for me next week is the Royal Rumble,
Well,
and
we could-
I got to see Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes.
okay.
But I don't know. We'll see because there was also a wrestling thing tonight that I was watching
Mhm.
in between doing this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Okay.
But folks, yeah, thank you for joining us here. We had a nice little interaction here. Ben, glad you're able to come in a little later. I'm glad everybody was able to come in. We'll be back hopefully next time around the same time next week,
Same time, same bat channel.
doing all that. We'll be back. Peace.
Peace.
Doo, doo, doo.